Well, I actually have something that I wanted to share, and that was my own profound reaction to hearing one of our Kentucky folks say. She actually said this on the film that we have on our website. She said, uh, "I feel like I'm going to a foreign country." Before she had arrived in Leverett, and do I need a passport? And it was funny, and everybody, she said this in front of, we had 350 people come to our elementary school gym to meet our Kentucky folks when they came. And that was, we had the community chorus sing to them, and they had a chance to talk about Letcher County to all of us. We were blown away about how many people came to meet them. But that is what this woman had said, and about a foreign country and needing a passport. And it got a great laugh, but thinking about it, felt very sad. I thought another region of my country is perceived as my region is perceived as possibly a foreign country. And would I perceive being down in Appalachia as being foreign? And I felt actually a sadness about that. I felt like even we called our endeavor, Hands Across the Hills, dialogue and cultural exchange. And I thought, cultural exchange, that's what we use when we talk about the State Department is going to send a scholar to Russia, and we're using it within our own country. And of course, when I got down to Appalachia, I did not feel I was not in America. I was definitely in America. But there is this kind of estrangement, this possibility that there are so many fragments in the country, and this bothers me so much. I keep thinking back to all our presidents. They always say, "My fellow Americans," and I know that's where I want to end up. So.
Thank you, Sharon. Paula, any further thoughts about our dialogue as you've been listening?
Well, as I heard your responses to my question, I understood the resistance. It's resistance, and I understand. This is very, very hard work, and we want to stay where we're comfortable. This is way outside of our comfort zones. And yet, what happens in our community is 18 people, just randomly, people who live in this little academic town, signed up, and were willing to be out of their comfort zones. It's in some ways, someone asked this in the first round of questions. In some ways, it's harder for me than the international work because I've got a dog in this fight. This is my own community and my own country, and it's very hard when I'm working overseas to hear somebody talk about the reasons for war or to lie about what their community did around atrocities, but it's even harder here. So I understand your resistance and all the reasons why it's hard to imagine doing this, but I really want to encourage it because you all know as well as we know that our divides are untenable and dangerous, and we're in the middle of a civil war. We're just not shooting each other right now. We can't keep going this way, and I don't know any other way to do this.
We are shooting each other.
And we're shooting each other, of course, but we're not on a civil war kind of shooting each other openly, but it's really dangerous what's happening. And obviously reaching out to a small group in two tiny communities is not the answer for everything, but it's a start. And if it gets big enough, then the media will catch on and we'll further educate ourselves. So we'd like you to join our snowball.
Yeah, I am very inspired to really think about this. Yeah. Stuart, and Sharon, yeah.
If I may ask one question that came to mind, and then I'm going to have to log off in a second. But what comes to mind, I'd be interested to hear from your perspectives and the work that you've done, is that one of the issues that I feel we're having right now is at the core values level. And typically, in the work that I do with organizations and understand values, culture, and things like that. Typically, if you can align on some core values, some of these other things could be dealt with. However, right now, if you were able to get people to discuss their values, you find that we're much more common than not. However,
Right.
some people are willing to either overlook or ignore values. And unfortunately, the leader of our country has none in terms of the kinds of values that we align with. And therefore, people who, if you look at the religious right, who are willing to say, well, we'll give him a mulligan on that behavior, or we'll just look the other way because we're getting good results, on, the stock market, or whatever. We've lost sight of some of the core values. And what I'm asking is that, is there a way we should be able to focus more on the core values of alignment and connect in that way and not ignore that? Because I think we've been ignoring that too much.
So here's a short story on core values. One of the things that I asked in the first dialogue was, what makes you safe? It's a core value. And our Kentucky friends said having guns. And we said having no guns. The value of safety, personal safety, family safety, community safety is a shared value. How you get there was very different.
Wow. It's a
Thank
good
you.
story.
Great point.
Great story. Yeah, it's a good teaching story.
Hey, Stuart, glad you could join us for this morning.
Well, thank you. I'm sorry to run, but enjoyed it. Appreciate it.
Nice to meet you, Stuart.
Nice to meet you as well. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. So, whoops, let's see. So, I think we're at a point in our conversation where we can just say, any further thoughts, questions, reflections, and we can keep going for a while, and then when we're done, we're done.
Okay, I wanted to mention an organization. Paula mentioned that we've been doing kind of gathering all the ideas out there and monitoring what organizations are doing this kind of work. And one of them nationally is an organization called Better Angels. I was wondering whether any of you had heard about that. They use a kind of family therapy model. Isn't that what we said, Paula? And they gather 7 red folks and 7 blue folks, and there is a leader for each one of those groups, and they get together for a day-long dialogue. And this has been, it's really quite, spread across the country, and this might be something that you'd like to take a look at.
Would love to. If you could email me a link to their website, Sharon, I'm going to include it in the follow-up email to the group that signed up today, as well as to our larger community and also a service-based community, so people can.
But I have a closer one because I have a California one.
Yeah.
Through my connection with an international peace building organization that's headquartered in this country, I learned about a woman named Joan Blades, Blades, who has a group called Living Room Conversations, which is similar to Libby and Len's name, in California, in the Bay Area, I believe, but I'm not sure. I know it's in California. And she's doing very, very good work having these kind of conversations. So please check that out also.
So can you send me an email with that, and I'll include that? Yeah. I have a question.
Oh, I was going to just say, Len had a question a long time ago. I wondered.
Oh, yeah, Len, I'm sorry. Go ahead, yeah.
I don't remember what it was, but
I'm sorry.
My experience of core value is, at the very core is, and what you have done is that you have moved out to people and listened to them. And it makes me think of just the biblical tradition and Sarah and Abraham moving out of Ur into the new, and just all the examples of moving toward the other and being the first to listen to the other, the Shema. And to me, the thing that people value the most and long for the most is to be listened to. and to hear their story. And the way you've done that is exemplary.
Yes.
Thank you for moving out.
Thank you for hearing it, Len. Thank you so much for recognizing it.
Most people will not move out, as Libby said, and even in our sustained dialogues, when there is sometimes an imbalance, if not quite a few more Palestinians, a few more Jews, people say, well, we need more Jews, we need more Palestinians, but almost nobody moves out to engage new people. It takes a whole new kind of courage and intention.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Len. I like it when you bring in a little Torah into the discussion. That's nice. I just had a question that hit me. I forget what, maybe you were saying it, Sharon, or you were saying it, Paula, that where you visited in Lecter County, there's no broadband or no news sources that people really are connected to other than Fox News, and that's their view of the world. And that's very concerning. It's like if so much of America apparently doesn't have access to any sort of open, objective news sources, how on earth are we going to inhabit the same planet? And I'm wondering if in the course of your conversations, if anyone has come up with any thoughts about how people might be, people of our view might be responding to that.
Well, I want to tell you about an experiment I read. I think I read this in the Times, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But some psychologist did an experiment where he brought together a group of red people and blue people, and he asked the red people for a month to listen to and read only the literature from the blue side, the New York Times, the New Yorker, NPR, our kind of websites, etc. And he asked the blue people to read only the red literature, Fox News and their websites, for only a month. Both groups quit in a week. Neither group could handle the dissonance of spending a month listening to stuff that we absolutely do not believe. It was very interesting to me. I understand that I couldn't watch Fox News for a month. I think after a day I'd be crazed with feeling this doesn't match my reality at all. So people develop their reality from the media, and then they look for media that confirms that reality. And our realities are different and our media are different, and those two are feeding each other. And we're very stuck because our media just gives us what we want to know and what we believe. And it's as peculiar to us as their media is to them. So we've got a very, very big dilemma on our hands.
Len.
I have a burning question. We work with quite a few Africans and also people in the Middle East. And people are willing to listen to a degree. But when we talk about, there's this larger, powerful view, it's in the media, it's everywhere, and about Boko Haram and Islamic State. And people hardly respond. If we talk about, those are people, those are human beings, they have stories, everybody has reasons. Do we know who they are? Do we listen to them? How do you see that? And is that in this conversation something that grand?
It's not in our conversation because we're focused on this country and our issues, and our people in Kentucky wouldn't know about Boko Haram and probably wouldn't even know too much about ISIS. But we have to humanize everybody. We have to understand every person, and every person who we dehumanize and discount, we're creating enemies, and they're going to respond in kind. And it's very, very hard to do. It's hard to do for Trump people, for all of us, and it's hard to do for others, for Boko Haram or ISIS or whoever it is that you're othering. But we do it at our own peril. And I do it at my peril because I dehumanize Trump people, and that's at my peril to do that. But it's a hard dance. You know that. You've been doing this work for decades, you and Libby. You know what a hard dance this is, to get into the shoes of the others. You've been trying to get Israelis and Palestinians to do it for decades. And we
People
know
talk about all, echad, wachad, but everybody has a point, and
everybody's got an other,
we need to be religious about this.
right?